of the shot.
You are out of the shot, yeah. Hi, Paige. That title seems familiar. Your name. Oh. Do you need both of those behind you? There you go. Cool. So the point of these satsangs is just to personify the teaching, right? Just sit in happiness, thought-free awareness that is Satchitananda. So it's one of my regulars. CNJ. CNJ. What makes you think you're weak? And what does AJR mean? So the conclusion of this spiritual journey is basically just complete contentment. It's really simple. It's just happiness. So if you're looking for something other than happiness, you'll probably won't find it here. You won't find any entertainment. It's just your own innate happiness. That's what we're aiming for. Oh, okay. Surrender, yeah, is better than weak. Surrendering is definitely not weak. Surrendering is probably the hardest thing to do, to admit when you've been wrong and that you need to change something and that you need to just stop trying to make it better. The ego has to stop. I think that probably the vast majority of humans has forgotten what it's like to actual feel happiness. It's more like interest, right? Everyone's interested and trying to hold their interest, but none of it is happiness. It's all distracting from our innate happiness. So there's nowhere to go from perfect contentment, is there? It's just perfect contentment. You don't want to go anywhere. There's nothing to change. There's nothing to do. You're just perfectly content, and that's it. That's the final goal, because you can't go anywhere from contentment, can you? It's definitely not a high, because a high will always have a low accompanying it. Yep, that's correct. We all entered this game to be entertained. It's just playtime, that's all. But the ego wants to take it to be real. And that's part of the act. See, what you find that your innate happiness doesn't have a cause, right? So it's all these other, like when you're laughing watching a comedy, well, that's not happiness, is it? Because that's a manufactured temporary experience. So that's not obviously your true nature, because it's created and it arises and it passes. But this is not created by anything. This is your true innate nature, and we just avoid it by having our attention elsewhere on the outside world. the more you get into the practice, the more you'll the more you'll find that this is what's satisfactory and this is what's satisfying, and everything else is basically unsubstantial. So the more that you recognize this, the more that you can get to this happiness that's in between thoughts. And it might be really difficult off the start, but once you keep coming back here, you'll get used to this experience. And then when your natural inclination is to just sit in a chair rather than find entertainment, because you realize that you enjoy the happiness more than you enjoy everything that's manufactured, then it becomes natural. You'll want to sit in a chair in silence rather than watching the screen. But it takes diligence, but it's worth it. Like almost none of humanity knows of the stillness, right? And the happiness. And if you don't know of this stillness that is the source, that is the harbor in the tempest or whatever, the stillness and contentment that's always here, then you have no base, right? So science has removed all meaning for life, the reason for living. Science has erased it. And now the entire species is completely lost. We have no idea what we're living for. It just seems like life, the meaning of life is to just keep living. And that's not right. The purpose of life is to not just keep living. In my experience with Zen Buddhists is that they sit, yes, they have a regular sitting practice, but they don't hold on to it all the time. So in my experience, every single Buddhist that I know, they have a meditation practice, and then they do some spiritual hokey pokey routines like every religion. But then when they're done, they go back to just monkey mind. They try to change the world and make the world a better place. And like, it's not about making the dream a better dream. It's about waking from the dream. And you won't do that if your meditation practice is separate from the rest of your life. And the meditation practice is simply just finding the space between thoughts, just transcending thought. No, my seeking ended about a decade ago, more than a decade ago. As soon as I came across Ramana Maharshi's teachings, all my searching ended. It went straight to practice. And because of that practice, because I wasn't searching anymore, all these truths were revealed to me. So I found the answer, which is basically just thought-free awareness. And from that state of thought-free awareness, all these revelations started coming out. So I found the answer, and then what unfolded from that actual experience of the answer was these messages. Yeah. You can't really, it's just like teachers just regurgitating what they've been taught in school. Well, that's not their direct experience, is it? They're just regurgitating stuff that they've learned, that they've memorized and taken to be true. Whereas my stuff, I really didn't fabricate it. I didn't do a lot of mental churning to come up with this theory. It was more like a revelation. It was revealed to me. Like the scientific process and the peer review process, there's no way to get anything new out of that, right? It's just regurgitating the same incorrect truth that they've taken to be true over and over and over and over and over. And it actually gets further from truth when you do that, right? If your initial assumption is incorrect and you take it to be correct, and then you just work on that as a base, well, then you're going to get further away from truth, aren't you? You're not going to get closer. So that's where closer to truth, Robert Kuhn, are you serious? Like, you think that you're getting closer to truth after 23 seasons and hundreds of episodes of getting closer to truth? You're farther away than you've ever been. There's over 220 theories out there, and they're all wrong. But no one ever wants to admit that they're wrong. So they just keep trying to prove their theory correct using a model, a system that's wrong from the get-go. They're all using the same lacking model that doesn't allow of complete theory until mine. You're one with God in dreamless sleep. Every circadian rhythm the ego is absorbed back into the absolute temporarily. Or I should say that in the waking state, the ego temporarily takes itself, God temporarily takes itself to be the ego, because there's no time in the absolute. But it's not a dude, right? It's nothing. It's you really can't have any conceptual idea of what God is, because that is wrong. Whatever idea you believe God is, that's exactly what God is not. But I believe the most accurate finger pointing to what God is my fundamental model of reality. It's you are God. It's just that you've temporarily forgotten that you're God to play this game. It's like a child playing make-believe, or an actor pretending to be a character. But God is not a physical being. Yeah, but he did believe in a higher power, didn't he? There's the other non-conceptualist. You can count them on one hand almost. Well, I'm over here. Oh, wow. That sucks. No. Well, stick it through. It's better than getting jabbed because people who've gotten jabbed more than once, it's not good. There's been more deaths, excess deaths from the injections than the actual COVID itself. It never went away. I think it's kind of like the flu now. I think it's gonna keep coming up over and over and over. It's kind of just like the common cold now. Hello, Denissa. Mm. Well, just think of it as your body getting stronger. When you get through this, it'll be double strong. Jeez. Yeah, neither of us have had it. And now we're quite a ways out of civilization. Well, I wouldn't say that, but we're out of the city, so maybe we're going to avoid the whole thing. No, not that I know of. Stop your snoring. Hey, stop your snoring. I wouldn't fare very well sitting on a slab of concrete. The universes are in you, my friend. God is awake and sometimes it dreams. It's very difficult to invert the model that we have, because we always just think that this is the status quo. This is where we start our investigation, right? Like this is fundamental reality, but it isn't. It's more like dreamless sleep is the reality, or the death state, where there's just the experiencer and no experience. See, when you refuse to play the game ends, because you're in control of the whole thing. So when you decide you want to conclude the game, the less the game will want to include you. Like, you have to remember that you're in control of all this. So where you put your attention is what will grow. And but it's the attention itself that's the reality. So you can't really be aware of the aware. Well, when you're aware of the awareness, you're just the awareness. Oh, it's creepy how fast things are developing. It's absolutely creepy to me. People really are excited about all this tech, and I think it's creepy. It's a devolution. It's not evolving to a higher level of self-awareness. It's devolving to a lower level of self-awareness. And that's the thing about the collective human consciousness, is that it's not getting better. There's no way that it's going to get better. It's declining, and it's not ever going to get better. It's like climate change is a result. It's a symptom of the sickness, and it's non-reversible. There's no way that the momentum that this has is going to slow enough to save us. So I'm not trying to be alarmist. I don't dig fear. I'm not trying to generate fear. I'm just being real about all this. So people need not be fearful about it, but maybe they should act upon it. Because this dream is turning into a nightmare. And those who don't recognize it as a dream are going to have a really, really, really bad time. Like hell. When there's no more food in the grocery stores, that will be hell, because people will start eating people. Yeah, well, I mean, anything goes. Like, there's nothing that's on the screen that can be trusted anymore, right? It can all be manufactured. They're just colored dots on a two-dimensional surface. That's all that is, right? It's just colored dots on a two-dimensional surface. That's all it is. And yet it has all this power over humanity. It's because we're addicted to symbol, right? We take the symbol to be the thing. And the symbol is not the thing. The thing is not the reality. I shouldn't even use the word thing anymore, right? The symbol is not the reality. That's the good. I know. We should move her, maybe. Callie, you're so noisy. Hmm?
I'll drag over here.
Our snoring cat. There she is. She's a little shy, a little camera shy. Yeah, she's here now. Forever. Never going back. Ever. Goodness is happy for us. This, and it's already showing in this place. Like, this place is the way it should be now. And just the mojo now that we're together is just palatable. Like, we can just feel that there's an energy here that hasn't even been here when I was just by myself, even. Like, yeah, it's pretty exciting what's going on in this location. She's started up her massage business up again, and she's getting clients just lined up already. So Yeah, we have discussed that, is that how it seems as though our relationship is the perfect yin yang, really is. And it's because we're not trying to change each other. We're trying to work on ourselves, right? So in most relationships, the yin and the yang, right? The two halves of the system are battling each other. In so many relationships, they're trying to change each other, right? And that just ends up, the relationship is weak. So we seem to have the perfect balance here. So rather than trying to change each other and align with each other, we're aligning with spirit. And that naturally aligns everything. So it's just because we both realize what thought is. We both understand that our thoughts do not control us. I put maple syrup in my coffee. I put it on my cereal. I I do everything but drink it straight. Basically, I love the stuff. I never use sugar. I always use maple syrup. So I'm hardcore Canadian, I guess. Islam. Islam to me it seems like they're just like Christianity. It's a lot of black and white, either or, and a lot of fighting. So to me, Christianity and Islam, they're basically the two least effective religions out there. To me, it would started with Hinduism, and that was the true, like Advaita Vedanta is the true spiritual teaching. And then it got, even with Buddhism, right? There wasn't Buddhism before the Buddha. So the Buddha actually rejected Hindu teaching. And that's where it started morphing into something that's not quite right. Now, Buddhism, I believe, has stayed closer to the truth than, like, say, Christianity, but it's still just a religion. It's a little off. Buddhism is a little off. Same thing, right? They when you don't know your true self, then you require the less you know of your true self, you will require stronger and stronger relative forces in order for you to know that you exist, right? A relative form of existence. So if you have no idea who you really are, like the stillness and silence, and you fill that stillness and silence with religion, basically, and beliefs, then that's all you have are these beliefs. So you don't have the base. So they're always fighting. That's why it's like that other video that I made where the motivation, if you don't know the motivation for living, right? If you don't know the reason for life, then it develops into just trying to stay alive and beating the other guy. Having some it's easy to have a motivation for life when you say something like kill all the infidels, right? Now you've got a meaning for life. To get up in the morning is that you want to go and kill the other guys that are saying that you're wrong. And it just keeps going and going as long as they're outwardly focused, and none of them start going inward and finding the stillness that's beyond their religion and their beliefs. Then it just goes on for thousands of years, doesn't it? All religion needs to be transcended. All belief systems, which includes science. Science is a belief system. And the fact that it creates technology somehow validates it as truth. But just because it makes things, that is killing all the life on the planet, by the way, just because it develops things and creates technology doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean that it's correct. It just means that it works. It's like pounding in a screw with a hammer. It's like, yeah, look, I'm getting this screw in. Yeah, it works, but you're doing it wrong. It's wrong. So humanity is exactly consciousness that took the wrong path, but we don't want to admit it. No one wants to admit that we're the bad guys, that we're actually a cancer. Right? No one wants to admit how much they're suffering. No one wants to admit that all of humanity is wrong and that we're killing all life on the planet. So we need to transcend our humanity. I know Denissa likes saying that a true human is a higher, but no, you just say all the humans are wrong. So you need to transcend that which makes us human, which is the freaking voice in our head. It's that simple. Over and 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 over. It's just transcending the thoughts in your head. It's the cause of all suffering. It's always lying to you, always. Even your past is all lies. You never experienced that stuff. You were the witness of that happening. It never happened to you. All that stuff didn't happen to you. What a noisy cat. Yeah, it's just words, right? You're just saying, it's like saying the ego is a small self, like small s, and the true self with a capital S, right? So you're just saying this is humanity with a small h, and the true humanity, which is the true self, is the capital H. I get what you're saying. It's just, I think it could be tidier. The language could be a little tidier and more concise, but I get what you're saying. Denisa, don't you understand that I'm always right now? Like, but all this time, you haven't come to the realization that I'm always right? Solution seeker, long time, man. Now all we need is Rusty. Come on, Rusty, where you been? I got it in. I got the paper in. They're going to reject it though because I didn't play by their rules. Of course, you knew I wasn't going to play by their rules. So they'll probably just reject it because it's not formatted properly. Right? That'll be their excuse. Just ignore all the truth that's in it and just go to the details, right? I did use a lot of your changes though. I incorporated a lot of what you and your partner said I should change, and some things I didn't, just to poke them, right? I got to poke them. I got to challenge them to look outside their system, and we'll see what happens. We'll see. But it was great because I think the whole thing was like 4,000 words, which is half of what they said it needed. I could have made it. Yeah, maybe because it's interesting. It's not the same old blah, like, just the same old, like, people who read scripts when I was a screenwriter. There's a fine line between being original and just, I don't know, being too far out. But if this is the test for them, right? Are you actually searching for truth, or is this just another academic exercise? Right? Let's see. I think my final sentence went something like, if the religious studies department of Cambridge University can't recognize these messages that they are messages from God, then not even God can help humanity. That was it. Like, right, really, right? Like, this is God trying to help humanity. When people say, God help us, right? So I said, if you guys can't recognize this, the religious studies department of Cambridge University, if you're incapable of recognizing something that's directly from God, then not even God can help us. Because it tried. God is trying to help us. And we're just, we got this. Yeah, sure we do. And how's your paper coming? Wow. That's significant. Soon enough, there will be, it may already be, right, that there is consciousness that is taking itself to be the hardware and software of the computer system, but that's their world. I'm sure it'll be great. Yeah, it's a fine line you're dancing on there, right? Because you're pushing the envelope, but you're trying to keep it within academia, the rules of academia, I guess. Yes, it's complete satisfaction. See, Mick can't get no satisfaction because he's trying so hard. It's so much more than that, though. It's also the transcendence of time. So until it's so difficult because it feels like there's such a thing as time, but there really isn't. So when you don't have thoughts, there's no time. Is time is the separation between events, and there has to be an I there has to be a thought occurring to make an event separately exist, just like objects. Just like objects appear to be separately existing when there's a word to it, when there's thoughts attached to the sensations, it appears as though they're separately existing experiences, right? Here's an experience. I had an experience here, and then I had another experience here, but those are only apparitions caused by the I thought. I did this then, and I did that then. But when there's no thoughts there, right? There's no separate existing. It's all just one event, right? Your entire life of your name here is a singular event, right? So we have to just keep expanding our focus. What's happening is that our focus is being laser focused, right? It's being narrowed. Basically, we've got blinders on. Someone has put blinders on us and is narrowing our focus ever closer. Like now, look at it. People are focused on a 3-inch by 6-inch freaking phone, right? A 2-dimensional surface. We're focusing all of our senses, just the sight sense, right? Basically the sight and sound sense, and maybe a little bit of touch. That's all we're experiencing now in a very laser focused manner. No, that's what we're supposed to be doing, is expanding. And that's why Solution Seeker is looking at the stars, because that's our future. That even Elon Musk doesn't understand why his physical body wants to go to another planet. It's because that's all symbol for what's happening with the natural evolution of our species. So that's what we're doing. This is what our little gang is doing, is we're engaging in the natural evolution of self-awareness of the game. Like everything seems like the more consciousness, the more awareness, self-awareness that's coming through the physical realm, the more it moves against gravity, because the trees are moving against gravity, right? They grow up. That's pushing against gravity. And humans have taken that to its extreme, where we've actually conquered gravity. But that's just the symbolic form of what's going on, right? Right? We take the symbolic form to be the reality. So Elon believes that his physical body needs to go to another planet. But I believe I think it's solar somehow. I don't know. But Denise is correct in that all of our focus should be in the physical, in the realm of the senses, right? That is a more truer reality than going in and playing a freaking video game. But if you want to hop straight to enlightenment, right? Just rather than taking the natural progression of the play of the game and playing the entire game, which is fine, you'll have a better, more fuller experience as a planet than you did as a human. But if you want to just skip right to the end, to enlightenment, then you have to, and this is for Denissa especially, I think, is that you have to realize that even this realm, right, is not real. It's not fundamental reality. So I get it. And there's the option to just shut the whole thing down, right? Just full enlightenment, gone, don't want to continue on. That is also an option. But definitely not focusing on what mind and humans have created is the path of our natural evolution. So just focus on your sensual experience directly here immediately, because what's on the screen isn't part of your world, is it? Whatever technology presents to you, that's not your world. Your world is what your body can sense. That's your world. So don't expand it into some fantasy world. Pay attention to the food you eat. Like, we are growing our own food here, and it's going to be the most nutritious, delicious food ever. We are on, it just feels so good to be in harmony with nature. Like, just going for a walk on our land is the most satisfying thing ever. Like, you just walk our land. That's what we do. Like, whenever there's an opportunity, we go for a walk on our land. All that being said, I'll probably watch football today.
It's Sunday.
It's Sunday. There's football. We got to watch football on Sunday. You mean 2 billion years? But you see, Danissa, how, like, this is the subtleties of this at the end, right, of the final truth and enlightenment and all this stuff, is that you're still subtly tweaking things, right, with thoughts. Right? You instead of just looking at the sky, you're looking at this. Instead of just looking at the star, you're looking at the star and you're adding something to that, right? So that might make you feel something, but it's another generated feeling, isn't it? Like, you're generating a feeling by attaching a thought to a sensation. So that might make you feel warm and fuzzy for a while, but that will go away again, won't it? So at the end here where you're so self-aware, but when we get to the top of the mountain, these subtleties are really, really important, right? To really get to the next level. the the nuances of what is happening within your psyche and your consciousness is really important. So my teaching is to just look at the star, right? And not put any thoughts to it at all. But isn't that in violation of quantum mechanics? Like there's two perspectives going on here, isn't there? There's the linear causal billiard ball perspective, which is, I believe, an illusion. I believe that everything comes immediately here now through the quantum realm up through subatomic particles, atoms, that process, rather than linearly all through the physical realm. See what I mean? I think that science and physics is going horizontally, looking at it horizontally in a linear fashion, if you will, and the reality of it is more vertical. So I think that perhaps the more real version is the quantum one, where it's all arising spontaneously all the time. But what if that conscious observer just observed, right? Like, I think that's the final step in the process, right? On the seventh day, God chilled, right? He was done. He's done creating, and he's just chilling now, right? Just watching. So there's no more, the highest level isn't creation. Most people stop at creation. Oh, God the creator is the highest level. But it isn't. Observation is the highest level. That's what all of this is for, is for your enjoyment. Yeah, I recognize that they're both false. That even the quantum description of reality is also incomplete. I mean, as soon as we put voice to symbol, it's false. I think we understand that. But it's not sniffing the finger, it's where the finger's pointing, right? And maybe quantum mechanics is that finger is pointing more directly at reality than the finger of particle physics. In the end, they're all metaphor. They're all clues. No, I think we should just shut up and do nothing. What is there to do? We've found the true idea, right? You're saying is that the point is to find the true idea, the true concept, the true explanation of the things around. How long have you been here? Like, obviously, you still don't believe that the fundamental model of reality is exactly that. It's exactly that. We've reached the end. All of us here have reached the end. So what more truth are you looking for? It's all here. You can't get any more succinct than the models that I've presented, than the fundamental model of reality. That's it. So now that I've found it, I just sit around because there's nothing to search for anymore because I've found what I'm searching for. There's nothing more to do. I mean, just about every single picture and video you see of Ramana Maharshi, he's not doing anything. He's not building stuff. He's not writing stuff down. He's not reading something. Like sometimes he'll be reading something, but most of the time he's just sitting there, not even focused on anything in this realm. Well, what do you think I'm doing when I'm sitting here in satsang? The real point of these satsangs is the stillness, not the talking, right? You'll never find your true self if you're, even if by paying attention to the senses. Well, yeah, eventually in a trillion years from now, you might, the game might end in a trillion years from now. Um, yeah, you're not really getting it. You're just really not getting it. It's all about just transcending thought. Just sit and do nothing. Just eat, stay alive, and just abide in thought-free awareness. And your life is content. I can tell your life is not content. You're not. You're not content. So you just have to stop thinking. That's all. Uh, oh, it's right. Like Satan. Like this is Moriarty and what's the guy? Sherlock Holmes stuff. This is the greatest mystery. Period. It's the mystery that that mystery itself is based on. We have mysteries because this is a mystery. So yeah, it's the most cunning opponent ever is Maya. That's exactly it, right? It's so God, has designed this game, and it's really enjoying it. It's the most I think God has designed a game. Like wow, right? Like, and you're playing the game right now. So one of the most important things is to not take this so freaking seriously, right? That's one of the most important things. But for what though? I've done that, right? The East and the West is included in my fundamental model of reality, right? The whole thing's there. Everything is included in the fundamental model of reality. The East, the West, the yin, the yang, all the dualities, all the opposites, and the reality and the illusions. It's all there. Right? So that pure awareness is from thought-free awareness. So when your actions are just natural and come from not from the I thought or some, right? Like you have a thought about something, maybe a past experience, and that generates a feeling within you. So what's really happening is that your ego is bringing this feeling back up so you know you exist, right? But your existence itself is the stillness, is the silence. So when you have thoughts or memories, that's part of the process. That's part of the step two. The one step path is just to ignore those two, right? Because you're generating a feeling that makes you feel like you're alive, that you exist, while that feeling has been generated. But it always passes, right? It always passes. Every single feeling and thought that you generate, it always passes. So why not just abide in that state that is transcendent of all that process? Just stay there, because you're going to end up there again anyway, right? We're always in the awareness of the absolute self, and then a thought comes in or a sensation and we're distracted, and then after that passes, because they all pass, you're back there again. You're always here, you're always back, you're always the absolute. So what I'm saying is that why not forego the up and the down to get back to where you always are, and just stay where you always are. Just stay there. Yeah, it's the forgetting. The forgetting is all part of this. Like when a really good actor is acting, they've totally forgot their name here, right? And they become the character. Like they I believe that they literally forget themselves and they actually become that character. That's the greatest actors, right? And of course, God is the greatest actor. So it's acting, it's appearing as your name here. Paige and I play good cop, bad cop. I'll let you guys decide which is which.
Jerk.
See?
You just have to preface that you get passionate because you care so much. You actually do.
I just get passionate because I care so much. And I've worked blue collar jobs with rough individuals my whole life. Yeah, this is great, right? Like none of us are saying, right, we're not attacking each other. We're seeing where each other are, and we say that that's valid, right? Everyone's perspective is valid, even if it is delusional. That's where they are right now, and it's okay. It's okay. It's when you start trying to change someone else, that's when all the bad stuff happens. That's where it all starts going wrong. No. Okay. Come on now. Yeah, he's right. Yeah. See, loneliness comes from believing that you're a separate self, right? And that you need something relative to you all the time to reinforce your existence. But when you realize that it's how can you be alone when you're everything that there is? See, there can only be you can only be alone when there's something other than you there. I don't think anyone's lonely in dreamless sleep. It seems to me that that's the place of perfect contentment, isn't it? We can go without water longer than we can go without sleep. Who are you voting for, a solution seeker? I'm not. It's definitely. Yeah. Well, I understand. You're not wrong. Well, in a way, you're less attached than I am, because if I were in America, I would be voting for Trump because he's pro crypto. We're heavily invested in crypto, so that's the only thing, really. Well, no, the Democrats, it's too maniacal. It's the lesser of two evils, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but Trump is the lesser of two evils. Never thought I'd be saying that ever, but it's the Democratic Party is Looney Tunes. And it's because 96%, get a load of this, 96% of professors in the States are Democrats. So that's where all this thinking has gotten us. It's inbreeding, right? It's the most unnatural. So academia, that's, to me, that's proof again that just about all of academia is going exactly the wrong way, right? Because it's following thought. It's so hard because thought is what makes us human. But that's what makes us a cancer. So again, we have to be honest with what we're doing to the planet and all life on the planet. But most of what humans do just tries to reinforce the illusion and tries to push any of the negative side away. Just ignore it and hide all that suffering. Just bury it deeper. But all karmic debts come to payment sometime. Well, gang, I think I'm going to call her for this week. Thanks for dropping in, guys. We're a tight little unit here. I really am glad for this community of ours. If it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be here. So thanks for being a part of this. See you next weekend.